Assalamu alaikum. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is in good health and with high iman. As I've mentioned before, I've had many brothers coming to me asking me about how do you go about getting another wife while maintaining and keeping your first wife, or convincing your first wife to go down with you having another wife. And over the course of my experiences and the actions that I've taken, I've summed up five prerequisites needed to navigate around marrying a second wife within a polygamous setup. And I'll mention these five prerequisites, but I will be discussing the first one of these five prerequisites in this video. So let me list them. The first is a Muslim identity. Number two is your first wife's response. Number three, a masculine stance. Number four, knowing your finances. And then number five is finding support. And so, like I said in this video, I'll present to you the first of the five prerequisites, which is the Muslim identity. But before I get into it, let me tell you first that, again, these prerequisites are based off my experiences and some actions that I've been taking or I've taken. And this is also based on some advices, some, knowledgeable brothers have offered me here or there. Nothing too constructive, but, I kind of like gathered everything and summed up, as I've mentioned, these prerequisites to marrying a second wife. This is also what I think would be most applicable to Muslim men living in the Western modern world, as we understand it. Since I classify myself as this kind of man as well, one who has been living in and around Western culture, and where, most people have the Western mindset as a norm. Of course, there are, I think, nuanced scenarios that would make this discussion play out differently, depending on the scenario. But for the most part, I'm talking to the middle class Muslim man, perhaps living in the West or within Western culture. I do think, though, that if you need an in-depth Islamic discussion on polygamy, you'd want to reference Quran, Hadith, the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, or whatever other scholarly matter there is to discuss on that. Then perhaps you'd want to consult or seek that type of knowledge from a sheikh, an alim, or your local imam. I will say, though, that what I will present to you won't deviate from any of the Islamic principles, as far as I know. And I don't believe I'll drift away from the moral standpoints that which Islam dictates around this realm of things. Okay, inshallah. Let's get into it, and that being number one, a Muslim identity. Okay, so I briefly touched on the Muslim identity as a prerequisite for marrying a second wife in my previous video. And here is where I'd like to expand on this a little more, you see. So what I mean by Muslim identity is that a Muslim identity is your fundamental basis to, let's say, anything and everything. For a moment, I want you to forget about polygamy for a second, right? I mean, polygamy is the intent behind, going about what you want, right? You want to get married again. But again, let's forget about polygamy. What I intend for you to understand is that you need to be ingrained within an Islamic paradigm off the bat, firsthand, right? To truly be a Muslim, truly understand the religion in a sense where you know that Allah is watching you, that whatever you do, you will be accountable for it, and that you ensure the basic Islamic practices is well maintained within your daily life. I think you need to live this Muslim lifestyle. This you need to be ingrained within you as best as you can. Are you praying regularly? How often do you go to the masjid? Are you consistent with reading Quran? Are you mindful of sunnah acts that can be implemented in your daily life? And I think importantly, are you aware of certain Islamic positions on things? Are you aware of the Islamic wisdoms in general behind why Islam has a certain stance on particular issues? What I'm narrowing down towards is that you need, first and foremost, a sense of iman, taqwa and yaqeen, those general things, to a certain degree where you are actually capable of handling things in terms of a polygamous setup. Again, polygamy not being the fundamental thing about this. I'm not saying that you should have this sheikh-like status, about yourself, but I do think that being a practicing, God-fearing Muslim is, in general, is absolutely crucial. I think that look, I think marrying your presumed first and only wife is a standard practice, and is at least socially acceptable within your social circles, your family, your friends, your colleagues, and whatever other people you have in your life will accept this as good and okay, right? Polygamy, on the other hand, is of course some would consider it a taboo subject, and is often met with a lot of pushback, even more so from our Muslim brothers and sisters. Funny enough, right? And I mean, fair enough, there are some horror stories out there that we hear about. But I think the success stories is almost never highlighted because simply most have adopted this Western mind frame about love and romance, and that it's, the standard should be a monogamous one. I mean, I think marriage in of itself is being considered a taboo subject now. I mean, people criticize you for getting married. How can you do this in this day and age, in this economy, and so on. And I mean, there's these influences that are driving out even Muslims. They are falling prey to these un-Islamic notions of how to go about marriage, which is the cause of brothers and sisters unable to get married in the first place, or they're struggling within an existing marriage, or marriages plainly just heading into divorce. Anyway, because of this is why I think a Muslim identity is so crucial. Family life, your job, marriage, parenthood, and whatever else are all subsequent matters to what is really important, right? Which is again your love and fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Islam. I'm emphasizing that the Muslim identity, the Muslim identity aspect should not be for the sake of anyone or anything other than for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for the sake of your akhirah, and the basics that which keeps you occupied in striving for this higher purpose in life. I think once you're honed down in on these basics, your life will gradually and automatically accommodate for a fresh shift of mind frame and living life. When polygamy comes into the picture, I think already by this Islamic lifestyle, the way you go about things and the way people around you react, and the way you react to them, makes you inherently prepared for whatever the dynamic is, right? You see, you want the least amount of pushback from various parties, because I can guarantee you that this is something that comes with this type of package. And not that you should care too much about what people think and how they would react to your intention, but I believe you should be equipped with a certain confidence, on the basis of tawakkul, of course, reliance on Allah, and the actual, I think, importantly, the argumentative cases for justifying, the moral standing for why you took this decision, the decision to marry again. And the answer lies here with what are the wisdoms of polygamy? And that undoubtedly this is a practice by the Prophet ﷺ. No doubt it was. It's true. The Prophet ﷺ did this. He practiced polygamy. And you should know that you are within your full right to engage in the sunnah, provided you are capable, of course, and you doing what you should do. I think also you yourself will lose the the Western notions of things with this Islamic identity. You will dust off your shoulder the liberal ideas you once had about not only polygamy but marriage and family life and whatever else, right? And an Islamic lifestyle is then the Islamic thinking is the default position. You'll acknowledge that the Sunnah has laid it out beautifully in how to go about practicing life and furthermore polygamy. But again, your intentions need to be aimed at an Islamic core and not polygamy per se. I hope you understand what I'm saying in saying that. Instead, polygamy is just but a subset of your Islamic journey. Because now, look, another thing to acknowledge is your now Muslim identity will leave an impression on your family, especially your wife, where she sees you doing things in an objective way and in an Islamic way. She has now the idea of you as one who is a good Muslim, a good father, a good husband, a good son to your parents, a good son-in-law, and so on. Out of the act of you genuinely being a good Muslim man, this is, it just naturally is like that. You will also begin to, I think, cultivate a household that is Islamically inclined for the most part. And I feel that takes time, but, this is the intent, ultimately anyway. This has a huge effect on your wife, which is, this is a good thing, because she too will begin to ingrain herself within the Islamic paradigm of things. Remember, women are naturally followers, so she will follow you for the most part, right? She would look to you if you are doing things in the right way. where her iman grows as well, which makes it less likely for her to put up a heavier pushback to you for when you reveal your intentions. You know, I think if your intention is not on the basis, on the basics, right, as I've mentioned, then I believe you'll tire yourself out. If polygamy is the ultimate goal, you know, Allah is removed from this type of want, then I think you're going to struggle. I think it is somewhat insincere in a sense where Allah is not the core of your motivations. I think it has to come from a place far deeper and genuine, more serious, a greater cause. This is Islam. This is Allah that you should be focusing on, I think. So I'm sure I'm getting the message across. You see, I think you need to work on yourself first, and truly so for Allah's sake. Learn to love Islam, its principles, the lifestyle it offers, and so on. Learn to understand the wisdoms behind not only the polygamy aspect, but everything, almost everything that you can think of. Because remember, the Western standard is the norm. Anyway, I think this brings us to a close for the first prerequisite. In my next video, I will be discussing the second prerequisite, and that is your wife's response. And I'm sure you guys will be looking forward to this because there's a lot of brothers that has been asking me this. So be sure to tune into that, inshallah. Also, please subscribe if you find my content valuable, and also like the video. This helps me with the algorithm. I'm obviously trying to push my videos out into the YouTube space once again. And of course, comment should you have anything valuable, maybe not so valuable, nonetheless, comment, and we can engage via the comment section. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.